The TikTok algorithm. Let's talk about it.
You see, I love that. And I want people to hear that a lot.
You can just post a 5-second video and it will go viral.
Every industry's got people full of shit in it.
There's always going to be a coach that's better suited for somebody.
Oh, wait. So that's the guy that got you in online coaching.
And it was honestly like the Hunger Games. They cull everybody.
It's not really actually when people think about it.
I've actually not found home yet. I know for sure that it's not New Zealand.
As someone who's currently on their own weight loss journey, talking to today's guest, Brittany McCrystal, who lost 20 kgs, I think maybe even 25 kgs by the end of it, was so inspiring to hear how she did it and the way that she was able to utilize still eating great food. She didn't cut out carbs. That's her whole thing. She lived a life that was still enjoyable, and she's been able to use that lifestyle to then build a career which has allowed her to live globally as a nomadic creator, influencer, just living the dream. Anyway, listen to today's episode to see how she was able to take what was once a negative into a massive positive in her life. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Great to have you here. Why don't you quickly introduce yourself and we'll get going?
Yeah, sure. So I am Brittany McCrystal. I am the head coach behind BritFit Coaching and the soon-to-be podcast host of Hot Girls Eat Carbs.
I love that. Hot Girls Eat Carbs. That's the best. I love that. That's so good. That's a great title.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I said to you off camera, I want to get back to before this weight loss journey that everyone knows you for.
Yeah.
Like, where did this content creation, creator, whatever world start? When did you start thinking about that? Where did it begin? Like, give me that story.
So it actually started when I was 18.
Okay.
So I went to school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I always knew that I was a creative. Like I loved creating things. I loved that aspect, but I was like, what do I want to do? Because I just felt like I wasn't smart enough to go and do like the classic career of like, I don't know, like journaling or anything along those lines. And my parents were like, you don't have to go to uni.
Yeah.
And I was, I think, probably the only one that didn't go to uni from my school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, there must have been like 3 of us. I went to St. Cuth's. And
Okay,
so,
yeah, well, fine.
Yeah, everyone was like, it's university.
Your school must have hated you for not going to uni.
And I was like, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents were like, don't worry about it. My mum one day was reading the newspaper and she was like, I saw that the Times newspapers are looking for staff. Why don't you just apply and just see what happens? And I remember sitting there crying. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm such a failure. I don't want to go and work full-time 18 where everyone else is going to uni. And then I went to the job interview. I ended up getting the job. Yeah. And I started working full-time at 18. And it kind of put me in this position where it's like I was going out and selling ads in the newspaper to business owners, and they were coming to a meeting and then they were seeing this little 18-year-old being like, what are you doing? Like, you're meeting with an owner of a business and here I am just like la 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 la, this is me. And it built this like backbone in me almost, because I was talking to like 40-50-year-olds when I was like 18 and they were kind of like, okay, cool, like, you know, she's building like stamina and whatever. So I started that, and then in the process of that, I noticed that a side business of the Times was beauty editing. Yeah, okay. And I was like, wow, like she gets free stuff. Like that's so cool. And she gets to write about it and she's just getting all these amazing packages. So I kind of like popped in and I like kind of was like, so what are you doing? I want to do it. Yeah. She's like, well, I started a blog. And I was like, what's a blog? And then I kind of like had a read of it and I was like, I'm going to be a blogger. Yeah. And like, this is way back
what
before.
Year is this?
This was like 2013.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And so this was like Fashion
Still
NZ
Tumblr
days.
days.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to do this. And I created a blog and I created it on WordPress and it was called Sequins and Sparkles. I love it. And it had like this like backdrop and it was pink and sparkly. And I soon realized I was like, okay, I'm actually not that great at creating websites. And I was like, I need to do something else because I'm actually not too interested in this side of things. And so I started going down fashion and I was like, I started getting like PR and I was like, well, this is cool. Yeah. And I got all this stuff and everyone's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I've just got a blog, you know. And then I started getting invites to NZ Fashion Week and PR companies. And I was like, this is so cool. But there was something that was always missing. I was kind of like, I love it, but I just genuinely felt like fashion wasn't my thing. Like personally for me, I'm not that fashionable, but I've always had a really good knack for writing. Yeah, okay. And so then I was like, what am I interested in? And I've always loved to travel. And so I went on a holiday and I decided I'm going to blog about it. I'm going to write about it. And I went to Vietnam with my parents. I wrote about it. And when I got back, I was like, obviously still at the Times at the time. And I saw that they were looking for travel writers.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to write a blog. I'm going to send it into Stuff and I'm going to see what happens. Yeah. And they ended up publishing my story.
Oh, cool. Amazing.
And then they ended up publishing like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to go down the route of travel blogging.
Yeah.
And so I started travel blogging and I started getting some really cool brand deals with companies overseas.
Amazing.
And I was just this 21-year-old that had no idea what I was doing. And I was managing to get companies overseas to sponsor me.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
It was just insane. And so I lived like my best travel life for, you know, like a couple of years, but I was finding that it was very hit and miss. Like at the time I was getting some paid, some not, but I never knew what next month would be.
Yeah.
And so I still kept going at it, but obviously being 21, you don't have the money to always go and travel. And I was like, you know, traveling every couple of months, but I was broke. Like I had no money and I was trying to do it off the skin of my bones. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm a travel blog. Like I can't travel anymore.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to pivot a little bit. And I ended up closing down the travel blog. And at the time I was working a desk job. I left the newspaper at this time. I moved to working in travel.
Yeah.
I worked at Flight Centre, I worked at STA Travel, both of them, because I loved it. And so I was being able to get free trips from then too. But of course, my whole life got flipped upside down in COVID. And I was like, I was lucky enough to still get my job, which was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. So there was 1,200 staff members. Yeah. And it was honestly like the Hunger Games. They cull everybody. We were sitting in our rooms and they were like, okay, you're going to get an email in 5 minutes if you've kept your job or not.
Oh, shit.
And we're all sitting there on like our calls, all 1,000 of us. And it's like, you have kept your job or you have not kept your job. And it was so ruthless. And I was just lucky enough to be able to keep my job. And then at the time I was like, my job is not secure. No. What can I do? And I started another online business at the time during COVID selling facial rollers, which was, again, like another complete 360 of what I wanted to do. But at this point, I was like, I'm just going to try and be my own boss. I'm going to try and do my own thing. And to be fair, like it did okay. Yeah. It did okay, but again, I wasn't interested in the product. I actually didn't even use the product myself. Yeah, okay. And so it came to the point where I ended up just being like, right, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to sell it. I'm not going to sell it. Sorry, I'm going to run a sale and I'm just going to sell all the products out and close it down from there. Yeah. But during this time, I found that because I was inside, I wasn't able to go to the gym, I was gaining a lot of weight. And I felt like I was insecure about my body. I was like, oh, like, you know, there's nothing to do. I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to eat takeaway. We were in a flat. We were bored. So all we were doing was drinking and partying, like in the flat. Absolutely. And I got down this like vicious cycle of just drinking every night, not moving, eating takeaways. And I kind of just spiraled out of control, really. Yeah, wow. And
during the first lockdown, 2021?
During the first lockdown. So I spiraled and I woke up one day and I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, what has happened to you? Because I was always a really fit person. Yeah, yeah. But I just like lost control and I got into that like partying and drinking life and, you know, not moving. And so that's kind of where my fitness journey started, I guess.
Wow. When did that... when did you switch back to like starting the weight loss journey? Like when did that happen?
It happened in COVID.
Oh, okay, so in 2020 still. Yeah. So you put on a lot of weight and then like come to Jesus moment was like, fuck, you need to start losing this. And then
absolutely. It came to a point where I looked at myself in the mirror, or to be fair, it actually started before that. You know, it started like when people would make comments and it would be like a friend would say, us big girls, we can't do that. Or my parents would make comments, which like bless them, love them, but you know, they were doing it from a place of love. But when you look back, it actually kind of put my guard up a little bit more because they'd be like, oh, you know, hey, like, should you really be eating that? And it made me feel,
that's ruthless.
And it made me feel really horrible. And it was just like these sly comments. And I was like, wow, my self-worth just kind of like crumbled. And then I was like, I need to make a change.
Yeah.
And so I did what every single girl does. They look up the internet, how to lose weight. They go on Instagram and they're like, best diet to lose weight fast.
Yeah.
And so I was like, right, I'm going to start the cabbage soup diet.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna not eat anything. I'm gonna do all this. Nothing ever worked, you know. Like I started keto, and I was like, wow, this is my saving grace, because I found that I would do really well. I'd lose the weight really fast for a couple of days. I was like, I've lost a kg.
Yeah.
So I started keto, and I was like, cool, this is working. But I was actually ruining my mind at the same time, because keto was drilled to, you can't eat carbs, you can't eat sugar, carbs are the enemy, carbs are going to make you fat. And so I messed myself up, because I was like, I can't eat anything apart from, I guess, like meat and fat. And so, it kind of just went from there. I lost the weight slowly, eventually, and...
But by doing those diets, or is that you figured out the right way to eat and then lost the weight?
I figured out the right way to eat, and that was actually just, you know, one day I was like, I need to stop finding shortcuts or trying to do shortcuts, because the reality is, at the end of the day, slowly is the fastest way to 100%. Be where you want to be.
Yeah.
And it was only when I started actually being like, you need to do this properly. Yeah. That is when I started seeing the results.
Yeah.
And then that's when my TikTok journey began.
Yeah. So let me get to that point. So the TikTok journey, did it take off throughout the weight loss, or did you get to a point in the weight loss where the transformation was so stark that people were like, wait, what the hell?
So I kept my transformation really under wrap.
Yeah, okay.
Because it was during COVID, so nobody really saw me.
Yeah.
And even my partner at the time, he never knew that I was overweight, because I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed, because I didn't want people to think less of me. Yeah. And then I was just like, no one ever knew about it. Of course, like my friends and everything, but they saw me all the time. So they just saw like the gradual. So they didn't really notice too much. People would comment, sure, they hadn't seen me in a while. But it was, one day I was just like, I'm going to keep myself accountable. It was like I'd lost pretty much, at this point, I'd lost 20 kgs.
Yeah, nice. Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it was really cool. And I was like, I'm going to just put this transformation on TikTok. Yeah. And at this point, I thought that people on TikTok weren't real. Yeah. I genuinely thought that people on TikTok were just little bots that sat there and liked photos, or there were 15 doing dances.
Yeah, okay.
And this was in 2021, and I thought that I was too old for TikTok.
Fair enough. I get what you mean. Yeah.
And I posted the first video, and I was like, this is never going on my Instagram page ever. This is just going on TikTok. I posted the first video, and then I was like to my partner at the time, by the way, this used to be me. Yeah. And he was like, are you serious? Crazy. You never told me about this past version of you. And I was like, because I was embarrassed. Yeah. And from the first video on TikTok, I remember posting it and then just kind of forgetting about it, looking a couple of hours later, and it had 10,000 views.
Yeah, wow.
And I was like, what? Like, people are interested in this stuff?
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just like kept posting, and it just built this like incredible like platform of people.
What it is now. Can I just ask, was that, how long was that weight loss journey? Like, because you said, go slow to go fast. Like, how long actually was it to lose 20 kgs? Roughly?
So the 20 kgs actually came off within 9 months. Okay. So it was quite fast.
That's still, it's not really actually when people think about it. Because most people think they want it done in 3 months.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like that. Okay, so but it is still pretty fast relatively, like per week that's a shitload. Yeah. Okay, so for 9 months, so you lost all that weight 9 months, and then was it at that point that you started to do the TikToks at the 9 month mark kind of thing?
It was actually way after that.
Oh,
so
okay,
I started my journey in 2019.
Yeah.
And I actually only posted on TikTok in 2021.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, so it's ages. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And then like to move closer to today, because like I said off camera, like people can go watch your weight loss journey on your channels, and they should, because it's incredible. But I guess that what I wanted to ask is that transformation story as like a branding exercise. Tell me about like your thought process around like that has never gone away for you. Yeah. Like you can scroll through your feed and it's like, I don't know, half your posts a transformation story. Tell me about that like decision to like make that. Like, what are your thought process around like continuing to post about the transformation? Because I think it's smart, but like, what's your thoughts when you do it? Because you must have posted about that transformation in the like side by side comparison hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So like, tell me about that strategic approach to doing it, because it's quite interesting. Because most people think you just do it once and you're done.
Yeah, it is. It's because, you know, the amount of people that reacted with that first one, I was like, there's something here.
Yeah.
And I totally understand what you're saying, you know, like there's only so many times that you can actually post a photo and people are like, yeah, whatever, we've seen it before. Yeah. But it's just it's the way that you go about it. Yeah. And it's the always changing algorithm that helps you, I guess, in a way. But I guess it's getting your message out there in different ways. And so I can do like a before and after photo where it's like a quick 7-second video is here's me and then here's my me now. Yeah. And it does really well. Yeah. For a while, because I found that with TikTok it was blowing up. There was one video that I did on my transformation that got 21 million views. Yeah. And I was like, this is awesome. But now I will post the same photo and it will get no views. But I think it's because TikTok's actually realized I've posted this photo so many times. So it's thinking like strategically of how can I post my transformation in different ways to reach different audiences. So again, it's like posting different photos, but posting value-driven content within the transformation. So it's, I guess I've got different pillars that I go down, right? So I will talk about food. Yeah. I will talk about motivation. I will talk about exercise. And I'll talk about being vulnerable as well. All still using the transformation photos. Yeah. But it sparks interest in different ways.
Yeah. I really like it. It's like, it's not saying that a lot, even as an agency ourselves, like we forget sometimes about, no, wait, remember that was a real good piece of content. Like, why aren't we doing more with it? You know, like, well, we got one particular client that is like quite a notable band. And these moments would happen in public that would go off and they'd have this one video and do 1 million views or whatever. And then we're like, but why didn't we do more with that? You know, like, why didn't we do 10 videos? Why don't we keep talking about it instead of this one moment gets one video? And I really like that when I look at your page, like it's kind of like, it would be probably what every second or third post is something around transformation if it's not food, right? It's kind of like your two pillars almost. It's like, this is some food you can actually eat. And I guess hot girls eating carbs. And then there's this like transformation thing. But I think it's real smart. I don't think enough people think about it, like about how you take this one story and just tell it 1,000 different ways. Yeah. For sure. How do you ever get people like, not that it matters, but do you ever get people going, hey, we've seen this before, like we're annoyed? Like,
never.
You see, I love that. And I want people to hear that a lot because everyone thinks that's what you'll get.
Yeah, never. And you know, my most viral post, I will repost it. I will repost it 3 or 4 times, the same video. Because you think about it, right? So good. You have only a small amount of people viewing your story, and think about it. How many people have ever said to you, I never saw that post? And if you go and look in your insights and you see how many people from your following saw it versus the people that weren't following you, that's actually what you want to target. You want to target the new audience. And I guess, it's just reposting it, because sometimes people aren't on their phone at that moment when you posted it. And I don't think that, like, even like posts from a couple of months ago, they're not going to remember. Or they do, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that was really cool and that really inspired me.
I love that train of thought, and I think it's real important for people listening because it's not a normal thing for people to do. Like, we do it a lot in our own stuff, but like most people won't. And actually, like, trying to talk to brands and be like, no, like that post went off last year, let's do it again. And they're like, nah, we've already posted it. It's dead stock. And it's like, nah, like
it's definitely not.
It's definitely not. Like, just go again. Tell me about like, how have you been experimenting with trials or anything with Instagram Reels? What have you been doing there? How's your strategy for that?
I love Instagram trial Reels. Oh my goodness. Like, if people have not been using that, get on that. Because sometimes I'm like, I don't know if this will blow up. And so what I've actually been doing with Instagram Reels recently is I have been taking my content twice. So I've been taking my TikTok content and my Instagram content, and I have been doing a voiceover and I've been doing a non-voiceover and a short form video. And I've been posting both of them. And I will then be like, okay, which one's doing better? And then I'll post that one to my page using trial reels. And it gets you to kind of understand what Instagram actually wants. And I've noticed recently is that TikTok wants you to be doing more vlog style content. It wants you to be speaking to the camera. It doesn't want, this is personally just my experience, it doesn't just want that 6-second video of somebody not talking. It wants value of actually someone being real. Whereas Instagram, I find Instagram is still kind of down that old TikTok, I guess, loop where you can just post a 5-second video and it will go viral. So it's kind of diversifying your content for each platform as well.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to say, the reason why I asked you is because our strategy at the moment, for Attention Seeker at least, is we just went and got, we're doing it, I think, in batches of 5 or something like that. We take off, go sort by popular, download all the old videos, put up 5 on trials. They've all gone off, like, you know, so like I think in the last week we had 14 million views just from trials.
Yeah.
And then we don't even really care if they end up on our feed.
Yeah.
Because they've already been on our feed once before. We're still experimenting. Should we bring them over to the feed? Doesn't matter. We've already got the use out of them. But it's that whole thing you're saying is just like, most people, all the non-followers, they've never seen it before. Yeah. So like, why not show it to them, right? Exactly. And we've had like all these videos start to go off again that they went off. I don't know. One of them was the video, our first big video that went off in 2022. Yeah. And we reposted it just another 5 million. And it's like, that's what I love about the trials thing, because it allows you to, it's like an easy way in for people who are worried about their followers getting annoyed. But actually, just repost all your content.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this is the thing, it's going to people that don't follow you. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't go off, okay, but still your followers aren't seeing it anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's going to new audience, which at the end of the day, everybody wants new eyes on their profile.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you've got viral videos, post it on trial reels.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love it because it's I love it for 2 reasons. Instagram trials, I think, is an easy way into doing it, but I also just love the fact that you've used that strategy to just keep on repurposing and using content from past, because a lot of people don't. Yeah. And I'd really like how your story, the transformation story, like, I mean, that's now 4 years old now. It's just like, I don't know, how many times do you post about it a week?
Oh, like every second day, every third day.
Like, I freaking love it because like, no one does. Well, actually, no one does it. Very few people take that approach, but it's so smart. Yeah. So, okay, so you've done all that. You've blown up. I really like that point. How did you, at which point through that journey did that profile start to generate you income?
It started,
or like enough income that made sense, right? Rather than just a couple little things here and there. When did it start to go, oh, there's some money coming in here?
So it started quite fast, to be fair. It started actually just doing brand deals. Yeah. And I realized very quickly that I don't want to be an influencer. I really don't like promoting products. Yeah. And I was like, it comes unnatural to me. Yeah. I don't want to just be that person that's promoting everything left, front, and center. I will only work with brands that I actually really like and really value and feel like my audience would value too. Yeah. So I will never, ever, ever do brand deals anymore unless it's something that I'm like, this is so cool. Yeah. So I learnt that and I was like, okay. Because obviously being a New Zealander, you don't get money from TikTok or Instagram for viral posts, which sucks. Yeah. But hey, I was then like, right, people are wanting my help. How can I do this in a way where I can make some money? Yeah. And so I then ended up being like, okay, well, firstly, I need to actually get some study behind me and be able to help people. So I went and I got my certifications for being a nutritionist and also my PT. Yeah. So then at least I'm now like qualified and I can actually offer support to people. Yeah. And so I started a fitness app. Yeah. And so this actually goes back to when I was closing down my facial roller business. So when I closed that down, we sold out of all our stock and I made $10,000. And at that time, I was like, this is perfect. I saved that money. I saved that money because I was like, I want to put this money into a new business. Yeah. And so I started a fitness app, just a generic $10 a month fitness app. And I built that up. I paid for pretty much like, someone to do all the workouts for me. Because at this time I was still studying. I didn't want to be the face of it. Yeah. And I had my recipes because I love to cook. Yeah. And that did really well, but it wasn't doing well enough for me to leave my full-time job. So I managed to cut back from 5 days to 3 days. Yeah. And I was doing that on the side. And then one day I was like, how can I do this so it's more value for the client and for like my followers, and I can be more involved? Because at the moment, like, nobody was speaking to me. It was just very generic. And so I started one-on-one coaching. Yeah, okay, cool. And the company that I'm actually going with, I got off the call with the guy and I was like, there's absolutely no way that I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and I was like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yep.
Just give it a go. And I started, and within the first 3 weeks of starting my online coaching, I quit my job, and I've been full-time ever since. And that was the end of 2022.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. So you're saying there that you generated enough business that you sort of replaced all your...
Yeah.
Or had you already replaced, or did you just think, no, this will replace everything?
I was so confident in myself, and I was so passionate about it, and I was speaking to my dad. So my mum and dad, they're so funny because they're completely opposite. My mum was like, oh, I don't know if you should do that. It's really scary, you know, being your own boss. And my dad was like, hey, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
You can always go back to your old job.
Yeah, nice.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. I can.
Yeah.
And I know that it will work out anyway because I believe in myself and I've come so far and I know that my audience want this.
Yeah.
And so, it just grew from there.
Done.
It's been crazy.
And so that's now, like from the outside looking in, there's the one-on-one coaching and the book as well.
I have a cookbook, yes.
And the cookbook. Is the app still going?
The app is, I mean, it's there, but it's not
something you
really,
promote a lot. Yeah, I couldn't really tell. It didn't look, from the outside, it doesn't look like it's a big thing. So are those your two main sources of income now?
Yes. Yeah.
And the one-on-one coaching, is that the biggest part of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about the cookbook. Like, is that just, was that because you had all these recipes in your May as well? Or was it just, tell me about that. What was the decision?
I have always been really into cooking.
Yeah.
I love cooking. And I had so many people coming to me being like, you need a cookbook.
Yeah.
And I was like, I do. And I was like, well, my coaching was up and running at this point. It was pretty much just not running by itself, obviously, because I do a lot of work there. But I was like, what's the next step for me?
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I will make a cookbook. I don't promote my cookbook too much because my one-on-one coaching is my main source. But my cookbook is there for people that just want my recipes.
Yeah, cool.
And I launched it and it did so well. Yeah. And I actually just run my cookbook in the background. I never promote it. Yeah. And it goes off. Yeah, like, nice. It goes off enough for me to just live off my cookbook.
Yeah.
And I don't even ever promote it, but it's just something that's there for the people that, I guess, want an intro into my recipes. Because the amount of people, they go, I tried your recipes. My family loved it. I loved it. Yeah. What's the next step for me?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, I guess, a lead magnet almost into my coaching because in my cookbook, it does have like a big section on my coaching.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so talk to me through the coaching, the business side of it. So it's one-on-one coaching, which is somewhat unscalable, but how are you trying to scale that? Like, you seem a bit too ambitious to not if that's scalable.
So I'm not alone, obviously, in my business now. Yep. So I have 4 coaches that coach with me.
Got it.
And I have a whole team.
Okay.
So we've been...
Does that really public?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's interesting. Yeah. Like, you know, I don't see that from the outside.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I'm not engrossed in your content. I don't get served your type of content, but that's kind of interesting. When I was doing my research, I don't know if I like fully realized that. I guessed you weren't on your own. Yeah. But to have 4 coaches is quite impressive.
Yeah,
that's quite a different thing. Okay, sorry, carry on.
No, it's okay. So obviously when somebody comes through to my website, they pop through the application form and then one of my assistants, Fran, she'll reach out to them, get them on a call. Cool. And so my coaching is done in tiers. So if a client wants to work with just me directly, that's completely fine. They can work with just me. But there is coaching where it's me and also my team. So they will get assigned a coach based on where they are in the world. The crazy thing about my transformation and my whole, I guess, audience is it's worldwide.
Yeah,
it's so New Zealand is actually such a small portion of it, and it's been really cool because I can obviously accommodate for people all over the world, and so they'll get assigned to a coach that's based in their country.
Got it.
And then they will work with the coach, but they'll also work with me as well.
Yeah.
So I oversee all of the plans.
Yeah.
I oversee the programming, and I will also jump in and message the clients.
Cool. Nice. So the coaches are kind of like the main point of accountability, but like the brains are still coming down from you for how it happens.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I didn't really see that because I was wondering that. Like, so then so if we think about that now, that's obviously, to have 4 people in the team isn't anything to sniff at. Like, that's a pretty good online coaching business. Like, is that just how you scale it? Do you just continue to scale it to more and more coaches, or like, what's next? Like, how does this brand evolve?
Yeah. So for now, it's just scaling
Yeah.
the business with the coaches.
Yeah.
And I have a marketing team as well that does that whole side of my business. So it actually leaves me with more time than you would actually think. So I actually have quite a lot more capacity
Yeah.
for people to work directly with me.
Cool.
And so I guess for now, I really just want to focus on my coaching because I'm so passionate about helping people. And for me, it's never about the money. It's actually about the lives that I'm changing along the way is just like the most rewarding thing that you could ever imagine, because seeing clients come to me from where they are and evolving as a person to leaving the program is just like something that money will never ever buy. Like it's just the most amazing thing. And you are changing somebody's life.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just the best thing ever.
I mean, absolutely. Like weight loss transformations and those things are insane. But I think, like, I've talked about this before, like a good way to think about it with the money is that the money enables more transformations. Like it enables you to help more people do more marketing, do more things and do more, which is why scaling the online coaching business is so important to achieve those goals, right?
Sure.
Like, because like if you have 10 coaches, you're hoping 2.5 times as many people, which is awesome, because then you get 2.5 times more of those stories as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So just like thinking about the business strategy, currently 4 coaches or 4 people in the team, you plus 4, or you're 4?
So that's just the coaching team.
Yeah.
So it's
coaching team,
so it's 4 coaches, and then there's Fran, the assistant, and then I have a business manager who kind of like oversees the whole business as such. And then we have like a marketing team and the whole back end team as well.
Yeah, nice. And they're in-house, or do you use an agency for that?
No, so they're all based in the UK.
Yeah, okay,
so it's an agency.
It's an agency to do it with. Yeah. Who specialise in like that
Who specialise in online coaching and scaling online coaching as well.
Cool. That's great. What made you make that decision to go to a specialised team like that and outsource that?
So it was crazy because I just followed my gut. I really just did that.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying before, is that Devin reached out to me on email and I was umming and ahhing about actually going with it. And I got off the call and I was like, it's not happening. There's no way I'm doing online coaching. Yeah. And there was just like this little inside voice.
Oh, wait. So that's the guy that got you in online coaching. It's still the people who run it all. Okay, got it. Sorry, carry on. Got it. I'm with you now.
To this day. Yep. And there was just this little voice in me that was like, just do it. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's changed my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting thing, because like being an agency ourselves, we started like it was me and growing. Like you have to have people like yourself take chances on you as an agency, and like because it comes off as like pretty scammy from the outside. Like it looks real dodgy.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. And the amount of guys who are like, it's the old if you can't do, teach. Like it's the so like if you can't be the online influencer teaching people how to do, or helping people transform, I'm just going to like do the thing to help you. Like, and that's like the scam part. And like I always felt that with this business, it's like, fuck, I seem like an absolute snake oil salesman selling the things that we did, and it's like a hit and miss. Like you just like you've got to find someone who's actually genuine. Who gives a shit. And if they don't, like there's so many people out there who just like take you for a ride.
Oh, absolutely.
How did you have that confidence to just go all in on this guy who obviously turned out to be amazing, but like that's not the norm for so many.
Oh, absolutely. The amount of people that are in my DMs trying to sell me their AI generated like platform, and it is so spammy. And sometimes they will message you 5 or 6 times. It's like, I don't want it. But I guess I knew, because I had seen other coaches with this platform. And all of the big coaches were on this platform. So I already knew that it had some sort of credibility behind it. And I reached out to somebody that I was following. We followed each other back, and she had a huge transformation. And she worked with them. And I said, what's your experience on it? And she was like, it's honestly changed my life. She's like, it's the best thing I've ever done, and you should absolutely do it. Which is really cool, because in someone else's world, this is my direct competition. And she is just like, let me know if you need anything at all. And I'm like, this is why I love the fitness community, because everybody is actually so willing to work with each other and collaborate with each other. And it's not a competition, like at the end of the day, I could sit here and talk to somebody that's had a 100 kg weight loss journey, and they were online coach, And at the end of the day, you know, there's always going to be a coach that's better suited for somebody.
Yeah,
And the client will
and there's
pick,
so many people out there.
Exactly.
I mean, it's a global problem, weight loss, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so now that's I agree with you. I saw someone put up a post the other day that I saw on my Instagram going, in 5 minutes at a gym, you have strangers celebrating you that you wouldn't even get from people you know for a lifetime. I don't know who that was.
Yeah.
But it's that idea of like the people you know very rarely celebrate you, but like in the fitness world, like you know, you do a PB or you know, whatever it might be in the fitness world, and everyone like you know, like celebrates you for that, and it's just a different community in that space, right? Like it's almost cult like in the fitness world.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's like, you know, even like people you've never met before, they will message you and they'll be like, you've changed my life. She's like, I had a comment just on my recent post, and she's like, you have no idea how much I needed to see this at this moment. She's like, thank you so much for being so vulnerable and so open. And, you know, I feel like my content has changed a lot over the space of when I started posting in 2021, and actually realizing, you know, it is all about building a community, and it's all about being just your true authentic self and being vulnerable, because my transformation is so much more than just a before and after, and I have gone through so much, and people just see this like girl with a nice body, and they're like, okay, that's nice for you. But also the fitness industry, like, people need somebody real because it's so fake.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, like I would probably say like 80% of what you see online on the fitness industry is edited or fake.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so
100%.
that's like the one thing that I want to make sure is that I am so real with people, and I will tell you how it is.
Yeah. I think remove fitness industry and just say they're in the world of marketing, 80% of it is full of shit. And like, it's probably gonna sound real bad, but like we will help people market a thing, and you've got to, they're not that they're bad products or whatever, but like the goal of marketing is to like highlight the best parts of it, right? And so every industry is full of shit. Typically what happens though is that like the cream will rise to the top. Like over time, the ones that are fully full of shit, they can't sustain themselves because people find out they have no customer intimacy with their clients, and then people fall away. And so I actually, like, in my mind, I really enjoy that there's a lot of people out there who are full of shit, like, because they, like, people get burnt. And look, it'd be easy if they didn't get burnt and we're all doing good, but if everyone was doing good, then I wouldn't win. Because then I would, like, it would drive costs down. It would drive everyone would be like, no, well, I can get this service from everyone. But the fact that they can't, they will eventually go to the ones who have longevity and sustainability. So the fact that you've been going for 4 years now in terms of this weight loss journey is like super impressive, or 3.5 years, whatever it is, because there's already longevity in that. And then the fitness world, that's not normal unless you're good. Because like the weight loss, I've seen heaps of people do these weight loss transformation stuff, and then they'll probably got someone like your marketing agency help them sell online coaching. But because they are full of shit, like 6 months later, they're gone again. And they probably can't actually help people. So I actually don't mind that. Like, I think every industry's most people are full of shit in it. And as a business, when you're starting and you're growing, you're probably full of shit at the beginning too.
I feel like you've got to fake it till you make it when you start. Well, not fake it till you make it, but you've got to like...
But you just got to try your best to deliver. We fucked up heaps of clients at the beginning. We still do. Like, everyone does. Like, not every client's going to get the same results. But the thing is, I think the difference is when you can like persevere, and you at least like you're not ripping people off, like you're trying your hardest to continually make their like whatever outcome is better. But I actually prefer there's all these like there's so many little small agencies now trying to do organic content kind of the way we do it, and most of them are full of shit or useless, but some of them are like real passionate guys or people who are trying to do it really well. But I actually like all of that because it grows the entire market.
For sure.
And I think for your world, like, it makes sense because like if everyone's used to doing online coaching and then you're one of the better online coaches, then it actually just helps you. Because it's about normalizing the behavior.
For sure. And the market is so saturated. But at the end of the day, you know, the amount of coaches that will sell online coaching but haven't actually been overweight, like, who would you rather go with? You know, would you rather go with somebody that is just selling their online coaching and have never actually been overweight, or would you rather go with somebody that has been in your shoes before and actually experienced it firsthand and knows the struggle, but also knows the way out of it? Because everybody can just post up that they're an online coach and try and sell their services, but it really does get down to the person that's actually been there before, because they understand it fully.
I think what's interesting about that, that's an interesting point. I would say, without trying to antagonize my guest, I would say that for your audience, that's the right person. And I think that's the real key thing. And I think you kind of mean that the type of people you want to help are those types of people. Whereas like I have a mate who's like, he's going through a transformation, but like he didn't start from a super overweight place. He wouldn't want that, right? He'd want the guy who, actually his coach is like a full-on bodybuilder type of person. And so I think like what you're saying is actually the people you want to help are the people who are trying to have this transformation. So for those people, yes, 100% agree. But I think that's the thing that you point into, is that like your messaging needs to attract the right audience.
Yeah, for sure.
And your audience probably doesn't want to go to someone who's just like,
for sure,
always been great, you know, because they don't understand the struggle, which I think is really good. And so for you, that's like super smart messaging.
For sure. And this is the thing, right? Like you want to make sure that you're like you are putting the right messaging out for your audience, because like you know, like I wouldn't want to be putting out a message and then attracting a bunch of like males wanting to transform when I'm a woman transformation coach. Do
you get many men trying to apply?
No, never.
No,
only ever woman, because I feel like my messaging is so strong towards the client that I want. You know, I want that brunch girl type. I want the girl that wants to go out on weekends and still enjoy her life. But also make sure that she can make it a lifestyle rather than a bodybuilding coach. Because like the amount of girls that I've had that's come from like the bodybuilding style coach, where they're like, I was told to just eat chicken and rice for 12 weeks. I'm like, that's not my style.
Nah, that's
But then there could be people that want that, and I've had that conversation with people before. You know, people have signed up and they've got the meals, and they're like, actually, I think I want something a little bit more strict, and I don't want to be eating carbs. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing, but I'm actually not the coach for you. Cool. And I'm happy to have that conversation with people, because I only want the right people for my coaching. And I want to do right by them as well. I don't want to just take their money and be like, this is what you're going to get, when it's not actually what they want.
Cool.
So,
All this talking about food has got me real hungry. My stomach is rumbling, actually. All I want is carbs for lunch now. Okay, last question before we wrap this up. I want to know about the Dubai thing that you told me off camera. Like, just lay it all out for me. Why are you set up in Dubai? You don't live in New Zealand anymore. Like, where are you now? What is that world, and how did you make it happen?
So at the start of last year, I ended up breaking up with my long-term partner. And I was like, I've always worked in travel. I've wanted to go and travel my whole life. I've never had the opportunity to, because I've always been, one, stuck in a job, or two, I've had a partner and they've obviously needed to be where they've needed to be. And so I ended up selling everything that I own and moving to Thailand on a whim.
Love it.
And in Koh Samui in Thailand. It is the coolest place ever. And I just had the best experience there. I went to a fitness retreat and I just had the best time. And then I started thinking, I was like, you know what, like, I don't want to be paying tax in Australia, like almost 50% tax, when I'm actually not living there. And I haven't lived in New Zealand for 3 years. What can I do? And I started researching where I could be, and I was like, okay, I could set my business up in Thailand, but I was just like, that's a bit dodgy. So I was like, my best friend moved to Dubai, and she's like, there's no tax here, blah, blah, blah. You can set your business up. So I started researching. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I ended up setting my company up in Dubai. It's a free zone company. And I went through the whole process of that. And now my business is run in Dubai, and I can live wherever I want. As long as I just go back to Dubai every 6 months and I can enter the country and leave straight away.
I love it.
And it was actually a really, really easy process. It's not cheap. But you obviously you obviously get that back. So
I mean, you're not paying taxes. I mean, did the tax thing change? It's 5% now or something.
So it's 9%.
Oh, 9%.
It's 9%, but it's 9% over 150,000 Australian. So
exactly.
It's totally
super low
worth
tax.
it.
Super low tax. So are you still living in Thailand?
I am going back to Thailand on the 5th of March for 3 months.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to see where the world takes me.
That's so great.
Thinking maybe I will go to Dubai for a bit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's kind of
Dubai is a
right
crazy
now.
place. Have you spent much time there since having this, or you just go in to get visa
To be
runs?
fair, like I don't love Dubai.
Yeah.
I think that Dubai kind of eats
No, it's
me up
crazy.
and swallows me out
Yeah.
every time I'm there.
Yeah. It's a crazy place.
But I haven't given it enough time, you know?
Oh, it's a weird place. My brother lives there. He's lived there
Yep.
for 10 years or so. He owns a gym there, actually. And he's just built it recently.
Yeah.
And he loves it. But, like,
Yeah.
me and my wife have been there, and it's just mental. Like, it's
Absolutely.
just absolutely crazy. It's another planet. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. Nothing's real there.
Yeah.
But if you do go there, if you like, let us know, because I'll introduce you to my brother, because
Yeah.
he doesn't live in that world.
Yeah.
He lives in the real world
Yeah.
of Dubai, like where the people who are proper expats live there, and that's why he loves it, because he's like, Stan, like, this is just like anywhere, but the weather's great, like the money's great, like
Yeah.
everything, and but the world that is like the marina world, Dubai Marina, like,
Yeah.
and all that area, that's mental.
I've always stayed in like the Palm or the Marina and all of those areas because
Yeah.
it's kind of the only places that I've known.
Yeah.
And so yeah, every time I get there, I'm like, I do not belong
Nah,
here.
it's weird. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we stayed at the 5 on the Palm.
Yeah.
And that place is just like mental.
That's actually just like a crazy party place.
Oh yeah, I mean it's awesome, but it's
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of rich Russians walking around.
Yeah.
But okay, so
Yeah.
you're kind of like, you just live in this sort of digital nomad life,
Yeah.
essentially, right? And just going, is that so you can continue to travel and do that, or is it just to like, you're just not really sure where you want to be?
I'm not sure I want to be, if I'm
Interesting.
being completely
Yeah.
honest, because I've actually not found home yet.
Yeah.
I know for sure that it's not New Zealand.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, once you leave New Zealand and once you travel, you grow so much as a person, and there's so many opportunities that actually come up for you when you are living in that world, and you find, you know, there's actually so much ways to make money outside of New Zealand. And I think that's been quite cool for me, is because my audience is so diverse. Like I have people from all over the world. You know, I've got people from Korea. I've got people from Saudi Arabia, from the UK. And so there's just, the world is so big and New Zealand is so small, and there's just so much to see. So I'm still trying to find home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How old are you now? Do you mind
I'm
me asking?
29.
29, yeah. Yeah, I was in my, about that same age for me, I was similar. Like, I would never come back to New Zealand. And look, I still probably won't ever live here for the rest of my life. But one thing I did learn moving back here when I was 32-ish, it's like, one, if you build the business right, then the opportunities still exist if you're from New Zealand. The thing I learned about New Zealand, and the thing, like, I've been to New York for 6 months of the last 18 months kind of thing. The thing I love about New Zealand, which I'm going to caveat this with, I probably won't live here for the rest of my life, but is it works. It's actually like Australia and New Zealand, the thing I love about them is like they're real easy.
Yeah.
Their life here is super easy. Like
Yeah.
nothing is a struggle. Like Southeast Asia, there's a shit fight. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
But nothing, like everything's kind of like you're one bad day away from things like going crazy or like whatever. In America, like America's awesome, heaps of money, lots of cool stuff, but like nothing works. Everyone wants a piece of your dollar. Dubai is absolutely mental. But then in Australia and New Zealand, like the thing that I found is like, as long as your business can operate globally and you're willing to just jump on a plane and go where you need to go, you find that like actually like, these two countries, like there's just something that works about it. Like when I came home last year in October from New York, I was like, I got to my, I mean, albeit my life here is like pretty dialed in, it's pretty nice, but I got back to my apartment, I was just like, oh, like this is the fucking best.
Yeah.
But it is a weird feeling, and the reason I bring it up is like at your age, I was like, you're so fucking New Zealand. Like I never want to live there. I'd never want to go back. But I think what ended up happening is I traveled so much, and then when I look back, I was like, man, that's real hard.
Yeah, for sure.
I would still love to find a place though. Like my wife and I still been thinking like, where would we go? Like where can we long term settle down? And like my wife's like wants to go to Italy. Like that's her thing. She's like Tuscany. Like, let's buy a house in Tuscany or something like that. And I'm like,
living the dream.
I was just like, I just feel like it's gonna be so hard. Like Italians are like the French. Like everything's no first and whatever. But anyway, I'm just going on the rant now.
No, but it's very true what you say about that, and it's something that I've also noticed, and it's actually something that I'm really struggling with Thailand, and that's why I don't want to settle there. One is that it's really hard to make a community in Thailand because everybody leaves, but two, the TikTok algorithm. Let's talk about it. I cannot get a viral post on TikTok in Thailand or actually anywhere like Dubai or Bali because the algorithm just sends all of my posts to Thailand with a VPN or without a VPN. It does not work. And as soon as I came back to New Zealand, oh my goodness, my videos on TikTok, they blew up. Blew up. I had a video and I just posted about a burger, 1.2 million views. And then I posted what I eat in a day, and somebody commented. She's like, oh my goodness, I'm so excited that I found you. It's so hard to find New Zealand creators on the For You page. And I was like, TikTok just wants me to be in New Zealand and Australia.
There is definitely like pushing out to localized audiences first. We've seen that. It's quite a hard thing to push past. Especially in a country where the first language isn't English. That is definitely a thing. And Dubai also is a weird, my brother's business there and working with him on stuff. Like the trick is the trick to do it is to remove the need for any English to be in the video. Like if you can make the video understandable for any language, that's the only way to get past it. Otherwise, but the problem is like we've got a client who does like, salmon slicing videos, and so anyone can understand it, and it's amazing. But like in a lot of Southeast Asian countries, their engagement is different, so they don't comment the same way. So she'll get 1 million views, 2 comments, and it's just like, wait, what? What happened here? How did that happen? Like that would never happen in like in New Zealand, for instance. So my advice for there is like, how do you make it universally a universal language? Because you got a lot of like voiceovers and sort of stuff, and so as soon as you do that and it requires the listener to understand English or whatever, they will just go past it. And then as soon as the localized audience says no thank you, it just stops.
You almost need to pivot when you are over there, because I found that I did a video where it was like everything I ate at the Koh Samui night market, and I put that on TikTok. It blew up. It blew up on YouTube, it blew up on TikTok. It didn't do so well on Instagram. I think Instagram is one of the things where you can actually be anywhere in the world, and that's okay. But it blew up on TikTok, and I was like, people want to see where I am at that point. So it's trying to figure out how I can make Thailand, I guess, a part of my coaching. But also my coaching, my audience, they're not going to be Thai.
No, exactly. Exactly. You just needed to get it past them to get to the rest of the world. When we were in New York, we made a big point of making New York a character in all the stories. It's always a character.
I loved that. I saw it.
And you have to. You have to make the place a character to get the localized audience to like it, to then push it out further. But honestly, it's one of those things that mostly our advice is just make more content, make it better. Like it's probably like don't. There's always a way to get around the algorithm.
Absolutely, I think one of the biggest things that have actually helped me is getting out to media. And people, people think these big media companies, they're like, they only work with famous people. I'm like, like the amount of articles that I've had published by people like the Daily Mail or like these crazy huge platforms where you're like, they would never. And they just push it out, and it gives you so much traction. It's been really great.
Actually, we're going to finish on this conversation because I think this is an interesting one, because you got heaps of articles that we found when we were researching. Tell me the process, just like step-by-step process for someone listening to be able to do the same thing.
So a lot of the time, they will reach out to me. But there has been cases where I've reached out to them, and all I've done is go on LinkedIn. I've done research on. So for instance, I will be like,
to my ears going on LinkedIn. So go on.
Because you can go directly to them.
First creator ever to say that. Love it. Carry on.
So you just pretty much will be like, all right, what's the biggest news article in the country that I'm in? So for New Zealand, obviously it's the New Zealand Herald. Get on LinkedIn, find out who the editor is for your niche. So you'd go and find for me, it would be I'd go and try and find the lifestyle editor for New Zealand Herald. Figure out who it is, find the email, and just pitch them a story.
Love it.
And the amount of times that they get back to you is crazy.
Tell me, like, you said pitch a story. So for people listening, what does that look like?
So for me, I'd be like, hey, XYZ from so-and-so, I've gone through this amazing transformation story. Let's pitch it this way. So for me, I'd be like, I've lost 25 kgs without cutting out the foods that I love, without just eating on a diet of lettuce and tears. And, you know, it's easy for people to do it when they have the right strategy.
Yeah.
And I think people like that because they are like, yeah, this is different.
Yeah. And so you've got like that pitch angle, and then do you give them the content, or do they call you and
They'll
interview?
call me and then we'll just have an interview. But one that just recently went out 2 days ago was actually the best article that I've ever had written. And it was by the Daily Mail, and it was woman from New Zealand has lost 20 kgs naturally not using Ozempic.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's pitching the biggest article now is, you know, everybody seems to be getting their hands on Ozempic and losing weight that way.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, wait, you can do it without it.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
I love that. I think that is something that more, especially New Zealand creators should do. They don't do a lot of it. We're going to wrap this up because we're well over an hour, I think, now. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
problem.
It was great to hear your story, and I do love the strategic approach that you've taken, especially the repurposing of content. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.